Hey everyone, Peter from Argo. I'm with Blake Finucane, who is a member of the Pluto digital assets team. Blake, great to chat with you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Peter.
So Blake, you have kind of an unusual title at Pluto. Can you tell me? I mean, many people at Pluto have different job titles, but yours is kind of unique.
Okay, yes. So I am Pluto's official Constellation Excavator. So at Pluto, we really believe we're trying to challenge or have fun with everything we do, but also the corporate structure. And basically, the inspiration behind Constellation Excavator, why I thought it was kind of fun was, at Pluto, we're shooting for the stars. We're exploring new space. We're moving into new ecosystems and atmospheres, hence the constellation. And the excavator is we're discovering, we're finding, we're digging in to the entire crypto ecosystem. So
Nice.
That was the inspo.
Nice, love it. Okay, and you're an expert in NFTs. Is that right?
I mean, we're stepping into expert role. I have a long background with it, and I've been in the space since the beginning of it. So I'll say that.
Okay, cool. So let's just start at the basics and then kind of get more complicated from there. NFTs are really hot right now. Everyone's talking about NFTs. It's one part of what Pluto is doing among many things. But what is an NFT for people who are not familiar with the term?
Yeah, so basically an NFT, a non-fungible token, that's what the acronym stands for. The way I like to begin, if someone does ask me that, I like explaining it as, so NFTs are representations of verifiable ownership of unique digital items. That's kind of where we can begin. We can dig in, but that's the general idea of them.
I like to think of like a hockey card. And can't, we're Canadian, both of us, right?
Yes.
So I think of like a hockey card, but it's like a digital hockey card. Like there's you come out with a hockey card. There's only one of them, and NFT is basically like there can be one, there can be 50. They set how many there's going to be, but essentially it's the same kind of thing. It's a collectible, but instead of tracking it as an analog real thing, you track it on the blockchain as a digital something or other.
Exactly. That's perfect. And really, again, the power in that is that it's non-interchangeable. So the hockey card I have, whether that's, I don't know, the Pavel Bure rookie card, if we're going to make a reference point.
Nice. Yeah.
Being from Vancouver. And it's mine. I hold it. Someone may be able to take a photo of that card, make a photocopy of that card. Sure, they may be able to pass around those copies. They can take photos of it, whatever it may be, but I still hold the original. And so no matter how many times it's copied, the authentic, verifiable ownership that card represents, that's mine.
Right.
And that's the real, there's so many layers of value. There's so many reasons to be excited about the tech, but the real beginning, what everything builds off of is that you can prove that you are the original authentic owner of that card or any NFT.
So why do you think that there's like it totally is in a digital world? To me, like Bitcoin is digital gold, an NFT is a digital collectible. Why do you think there's such kind of like, it seems to me that there's like people either love NFTs, like, oh, that totally makes sense. And often it's people who are younger. And then people like and often it seems like people who are older are like, that is a total scam. I don't get it. What a joke. Beeple sold his, artwork for $69 million. Go away. Well, why is there such a strong reaction, you think?
That's a really good question. I think there is a big leap for a lot of people around the idea that things that aren't tangible. I think there's this issue around tangibility, around really being able to hold something. And if you can't hold it, you can't touch it, you can't move it from house to house, then it can't be worth a significant amount of money. But I mean, the joke is obviously a lot of the actual money and currency we deal with, we never touch. It's all digital. A lot of the ways in which gamers have been interacting online for years and years and years, that's never been physical, tangible goods. That's all been online. But I think now that that these high prices are really getting so much mainstream media attention, that's the really big issue. And I think it's scary to think that it challenges the real notion of how people value things, which is like a real inherent understanding of how you view life. And if now if there's new introductions of what is meaningful, what is valuable, what can fetch a high price, I think people can get really thrown off by that, which I have a lot of space for because it is all very, very new.
Right. So in terms of like the newness, it's not that new for you. You've been tracking this, you've been following it, you've been thinking about this for a long time. Just walk me through a little bit about like your connection to NFTs and how you got involved in them and where that's taken you.
Yeah, so essentially my training is as an art historian. I was mostly writing in my undergrad about the intersection of digital media and social media and how artists actually use technology to market themselves and make art. I got paid in Bitcoin in 2014 for a job that I did. Sold it all. So there's no gains from the 2014 time, but it was a beautiful time because I got introduced to the technology. That was when I first understood maybe some of the upsides. As I continued then my art journey, moving into and understanding more about art and tech and its relationship, in 2016, I stepped into doing my master's degree. And that was right at the beginning, the rumblings of the bull 2017 market. And when I stepped into my master's, I really got fully hit with the Bitcoin bug. And I thought, I have to write about this. I'm an art historian. This is the only way I know how to write about this. No one's ever done it before. There's no scholarly discourse on art and crypto. There's no real writing. There's no pool I can pull from. So this is going to be really exciting because I can make it up all myself. So for those 2 years from 2016 to 2018, going all the way up with the 2017 bull run, I basically invented a whole new way of studying art in terms of I just kind of made it up and wrote the first academic thesis on crypto art and what that was. So before even they were called NFTs, even before the ERC 721 standard, which is the main technological standard in which NFTs operate upon or on, I was kind of all in and I saw the beauty and I saw the massive, massive opportunities that this tech gives to artists. And that's how I kind of entered the entire crypto sphere, was through more of an academic art side.
So you're like an NFT OG then.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because at the time there was not a lot of positive feedback that I was getting from the academic community about my studies. I had an extraordinary thesis advisor that was fully supportive, and everyone else was not really there with me. And now I'm getting calls to lecture all the time, getting calls to speak, getting asked to interview. So it's funny how things come around, but at the time, it was not particularly kind and welcoming in that way.
Amazing. So what are the opportunities for artists? And like, just tell me a little bit more about that. Like you've been tracking this now for many years. How is it changing the art world and what kind of impact is it having in for artists?
Okay, that's my favorite question, Peter. So really what NFTs allow are a way to actually code in an artist's rights in ways never possible before. So that essentially means that you can code in and make rules within the actual NFTs themselves that when they move hands, the artist receives royalties back. This model, this automatic royalty model, is one that has, again, it's never existed before. So if you look at why I think the NFT boom has really caught on, it first caught on in the art world, is because it genuinely solves problems that artists have been dealing with and questions they've been asking for forever. If you look at, say, a classic gallery model, you come in, you buy a painting, you have no idea how much the gallerist is actually going to give back to the artist. You have no idea if this is actually an authentic work. You have no idea, as on the artist side, you have no idea how much the gallerist actually sold the piece for. They can tell you they sold it for, oh, sorry, that was a FaceTime.
No worries.
They have no idea how much the piece is sold for. The gallerist can say, I sold it for $100. He might have sold it for $1 million, and he's only giving you a cut of that. What blockchain technology solves, what the NFT tech actually solves, is when I buy a piece from an artist, the amount that I buy it for, who I'm buying it from, and the royalty model, those are all fully transparent. Also, it's a disaster in terms of provenance. Works are faked all the time. You have no idea who owns what. An artist doesn't even know where their catalog is, where their paintings are, where their sculptures are, where any of their art is. And again, you can look at the list of owners through wallet addresses and know exactly where your piece is. So when people are like, when people are wondering about the actual utility of NFTs applied to the art world, there is truly like an infinite amount of utility there.
I mean, this is why I'm so excited about blockchain technology in general. And, I think back to like 2017, 2018, when I was explaining like Bitcoin to my friends, and I was like, okay, Bitcoin is like the first app. It's like the first thing that everyone's going to start doing because it really works. And then we can use it for other things. Like we can use it for like IP and like, tracking identity and like holding on, and you basically like decentralize it. And they didn't get it. They're like, what are you talking about? This is a scam. And now here we are, a couple of years later, we're talking about decentralized finance. Amazing. It's actually getting rid of like the third-party intermediaries that have been making money off of the backs of people for hundreds of years. And we're talking about like actually giving artists and creators an opportunity to track their content. And it's been such a, like,
and get paid directly for it, where there's no intermediary.
Imagine if Leonardo da Vinci had, an opportunity to track all of the people that have seen and used his art and benefited off of his art for the last, whatever, 400, I don't know how old, 400 years, right?
That's enough. We're happy with it, yeah.
You're the art historian. So that's what's really exciting to me. It's like, we're actually seeing it in real time.
Yeah, exactly. It's, and the another thing that's so exciting is we're literally like, we're just at the beginning.
Right.
The utility that will continue to be built upon NFTs is like, we don't even know what's going to be happening a year or 2 years from now. And I mean, you talk about DeFi, the beautiful thing too about NFTs, there's the intersection of NFTs and DeFi and how NFTs are interacting with DeFi. And that's a whole world in and of itself that has just emerged. Yeah. So there's, it's growing at such an infinite rate, and the utility is just being discovered.
So what are some of like the questions you get? And like Bitcoin has been dealing with like these kind of tropes, or these like, the same. In fact, I listened to a podcast the other day where someone was like, you had a 12-sided dice, which was like all the arguments against Bitcoin, and you just roll it and pick it up. Oh yeah, okay, I've heard that one. Let's go through that one. What are the arguments that people say to you? And obviously the environmental one is one. Like, why? So just name a couple, off the top of your head. I'm sure you deal with. What are the problems with NFTs?
The biggest one, of course, is, well, it's not, I can't put it up on my wall. I can't own it. So there's a disconnect between holding in your hands and owning it, that if it's not in your hands, then it doesn't equal ownership. So there's a kind of abstractness around that. So that's one major thing. The other biggest thing is, well, why don't I just copy and paste it? Like, I can go watch a LeBron James highlight on YouTube. I don't need to spend $200,000 on the NBA Topshot card when I can just watch it on YouTube. So why am I spending money when it's property or it's media in which I can interact with freely? So those to me, those are the two. I think there's a lot of objections around the quality as well. People are like, I hate this art, but people hate new art all the time. So
but you mentioned the NBA thing, and that's interesting because it's not just individual creators like people and artists like that who are creating NFTs, but it's also now brands and leagues, and the NBA has been, maybe people who don't know that story, you can just tell how has the NBA been a leader in this with their product that they've been putting out?
Yeah, well, first I will say again, one of the major opportunities for NFTs will be capturing, representing IP, unique IP. The big brands, and they will all come in, and some of them it'll work and some of them won't, depending on the quality of the people who are executing these NFT assets. But the combination of unique IP going to be massive. The NBA being the one that to this point has executed it beautifully. So essentially, for those of you that don't know, there is a trading card game called NBA Topshot. It is a collaboration between the NBA and a blockchain gaming company called Dapper Labs, based in Vancouver. And so essentially what it is it's really sports trading cards. They've figured that out. They've executed it to a T. It's a drop model. What that means is that you can log on. If you want to collect a trading card, one of your favorite NBA players, you log on. Dapper Labs NBA Topshot will send you an email 15 minutes before the drop happens. You log on, hoping you get a pack. One of the key things is it's a limited model, right? You need to impose scarcity to actually make people want to buy things. I mean, this is classic supply and demand. We all know that. So maybe it'll be 10,000 packs that are dropping. Maybe it'll be 45,000, depending on the rarity of the cards themselves. And it can be anywhere from $9 for a pack of 4 or 3 to, I think, 250 USD for, these are going to be the top cards. They're going to be rare. They're going to be the top players. And there's been an explosion. They've done, I think, $500 million in under 6 months of sales. Wild.
Is that trading just from the NBA out, or is that on the exchange in general trading?
The exchange in general.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason, a couple things why I think this has worked so well, of course, at least from a North American's perspective, we love the NBA here. So the IP is absolutely top notch. And they haven't so that's number one, the product itself, people are interested in it. People are automatically engaged in it. They want to get their hands on a Zion, a Giannis, a LeBron, whoever, James Harden, whoever it is. Second, you have there's an upgrade. So again, one of the beauties of NFTs, instead of just being a regular trading card that's static, you just get a photo of the player and then you turn around and you get their stats. What you get with these NFTs, you get a media, you get a highlight. So you get an actual clip of an incredible dunk, layup, pass, whatever it is, steal. So they're embedded in is, again, a way to interact with trading cards that's never been possible before. They're also dynamically updated. You're going to be able to get the player stats. You're going to be able to get the info of that game in which they're featured in. And of course, the real upside, you can flip or sell these cards immediately as soon as you buy them.
Right.
Again, with trading cards, if we're using that analogy with the hockey trading card, if I want to trade it, I might have to go to a fair. Maybe I have to go on eBay. Maybe, there's a whole set of transactions.
We might have to wait 100 years for it to increase in value.
I might have to wait 100 years. And the person that wants to buy my Pavel card, he might be in Russia. I have to ship it to him.
Yeah.
This is an immediate marketplace that's global.
Right.
You can tap into every single person that's interested in buying the LeBron card.
Right.
There's no limitations around geography, around shipping, any of that stuff. So
just talk to me a little bit about those exchanges, because, obviously that's a big part of the crypto market that's grown up over the last 10 years is, places like Binance, Coinbase, where you can go and trade, your Bitcoin and your Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera. How are NFTs traded?
Right. So there's going to be a couple major spots. So the short answer is the number one place for trading NFTs is a place called OpenSea.io. The thing about OpenSea that I will say, I would obviously suggest the listeners go and check it out and play around and see what they like, see what catches their eye. But it can be a super, super overwhelming place to go, because literally it's art, it's gaming, it's music, whatever it is going to be traded there. There's millions of things that go through there all the time. So that's going to be the number one place. But a lot of the actual, say, platforms themselves that deal with NFTs also have their own marketplaces within the actual platforms. So for instance, NBA Topshot, you basically, all the trading for trading cards happens within the actual browser itself. So you go on to NBATopshot.com, there's a marketplace tab. That's where all the cards are traded.
And the currency of choice is crypto for pretty much all the.
No. So actually, so that's another thing as to why I think the NBA Topshot has been such a runaway success, is because you can use your credit card.
Right.
So for the average user, Ethereum, Bitcoin, MetaMask, connecting everything together, it's really overwhelming. And I totally get that. And that can take years to learn, and you're dealing with real money and you don't want to lose it. You've plugged your credit card in, super easy. There's one other site called Nifty Gateway, NIFTY Gateway, which is the number one crypto art site for, it's a curated site. You can't just go on there and make and sell your art. They're going to have to invite you on. You have to apply to get on. But also on that site, you can use your credit card. Any other site, it's going to mostly be dealing with Ethereum. So you're going to have to buy and transact your assets, any NFT asset, with Ether.
So why is Ether so connected to NFTs? I mean, you often hear this conversation, oh, if I'm going to buy an NFT, I need Ethereum. What's the connection between those?
Well, for me, the ecosystem is so developed. So the NFT standard that's most popular is the Ethereum NFT standard. So most NFTs are actually built on the Ethereum blockchain. Thus, you have to use Ether to transact. The other beautiful thing about Ether is, or the Ethereum blockchain, hence Ether is the currency, is it's the easiest to program. So the actual ways in which you can transact and interact with the Ethereum blockchain are such that you can shape your NFTs to really be what they are. It's easy to code in the royalties. Maybe you want to add more information into the image itself that is connected to the token. You can easily do that on Ethereum. So it's the most developed ecosystem. I also think it's the best one. Outside of the gas fees, it's the best.
I just love, again, how these, as this whole ecosystem develops, like the crypto ecosystem develops, again, we've been talking for years about how Ethereum has this kind of practicality to it, how it has this programmability to it, how it's different from Bitcoin, but complementary at the same time. And Bitcoin's become the narrative that has won the day for Bitcoin is as a store of value. And now we're actually seeing practical, useful things being built on Ethereum. And I mean, it's just such an interesting, 2021 is just turning into such an interesting year for crypto.
Yeah. And I think in terms of the interesting things being built on Ethereum, again, we're just beginning. There's projects coming out, I think, all the time that are upgrading and making, not upgrading, but building upon, I'll say, the system itself and making it more interoperable, making it easier to interact with, making it cheaper to use, making it more kind of flexible in whatever you're looking to build in terms of an economic system. It's I think because of the developer ecosystem and how rich that is, it's going to continue to be the one everyone's looking at.
Cool. So in terms of Pluto and what you're doing with Pluto, how do you see NFTs kind of fitting into the Pluto, business model and story and kind of day to day and week to week operations?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are really excited to move into the ecosystem in a really big way. We have we have a lot of exciting announcements coming out. We obviously have a great depth and background in DeFi, with Atef being, incredible in what he's created with YOP and his specialization there. With me coming in, bringing a really clear vision of what projects we want to be moving towards, what parts of the actual NFT stack we want to be going into, and looking at projects that address not only, say, really interesting NFT assets and are bringing those to the forefront, but also, storage, on-ramping, onboarding,
Right.
for NFTs.
The picks and shovels for NFTs.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly, because we've seen a major influx, obviously, of interest, but until the usability gets substantially easier, we're not going to see that big pop, that really big pop, which I think, we've seen in Bitcoin and we're continuing to see, and those on-ramps have gotten substantially easier over the last couple of years. Not saying they're super easy, but easier. And so we want to be investing in really dynamic projects in terms of NFT products, but also what's making it easier to store, to sell, to fractionalize, to trade, to farm, to lend your NFTs. And when it comes to the actual NFT products, we're really excited about IP, partnering with really dynamic IP providers, moving more into high profile collaborations, as well as, really unique creators that just have really cool offerings.
Awesome. Cool. Can you, I just have two more questions. One is, can you talk a little bit about, like the tokenization of the world and how kind of NFTs, because I remember, again, it's so funny in this space because you hear about trends and then they go away and then they come back and they're real. And I feel like the one trend that everyone was talking about in like 2019 was like tokenization of real estate, tokenization of assets. And I feel like NFTs are like an important step in that direction.
I 1,000% agree. I think because, again, we're still trying to work out the security issues, the risks of taking a digital token and then having it attached to a real world asset. There's going to be questions there around, is it authentic? How can you actually prove that something's authentic when, there's that link between the digital and physical? What purely digital assets allow us to do is get used to the idea that they can represent ownership and they represent the authentic proof of the asset you're owning. So I think it's a major step as NFTs gain more mainstream adoption or understanding, or at least, maybe not adoption, but people are just hearing it more and getting more used to the idea. That's going to be the thing that really sets us up for the next wave, where maybe then it's trading tokens and of homes and cars, right. which is already happening. Trading, there's lots of tokenization in those ways, but for that to be the pop, and I think the more that we get used to this, the idea that everything is online and digital tokens can represent anything in the digital world. That is a wonderful precursor to opening up so many other ways in which they can be used.
It's the bridge. It's the bridge between.
It's the bridge.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Okay, my last question is more of a rant than a question, but I'll turn it.
I love a rant. Okay. Give it to me.
Which is like, I'm so tired of people saying that NFTs are overhyped and over priced, and because and people are like, well, it's like the .com bubble of 2000. Well, what came after the .com bubble? Yeah, okay, things were a little overheated, and some things that weren't real went away, as they rightfully should have. But what came after the .com was the economy, the new economy, the digital economy that we are now all living in and participating in, and companies like Zoom, here we are using their product. Like, none of that would have been possible without that excitement and that that energy. So, I mean, is that a source of frustration for you when people are like, because you've been watching this develop and, it's like all of a sudden it's here. I mean, do you feel like, no, this is real, like this is here to stay?
I totally hear you on all of that, and I'm so with you on all of it. And yes, I think it's absolutely here to stay. I think with such parabolic growth, there's going to be downs because you can't not. We've been in enough Bitcoin cycles to know that that's how it happens. And when there's this major influx of maybe new people in, a lot of those people are going to come out, but I still think that's a real positive because people are getting more used to the technology. The vernacular is getting more normalized. And with major interest, with quote unquote bubbles happening, I don't necessarily think that's what it is. I think that yes, there will be ups and downs, but in general, when there's major ups, huge capital comes into the space, huge media interest, new people, new creators, new ideas. There's life breathed into the space where I think we've reached a point of no return where there's too much utility too. Like this is a real thing. This isn't a joke. So when people maybe at the surface, okay, these big numbers, maybe it's not that high quality, sure. But when you dig one little level deeper, you can see all the upside, and that's where the real excitement is. And I think that's where when all these people come in, sure, some will leave, but a lot will stay because there's so much to be done.
Yeah. The genie is out of the bottle.
We can't get it back in, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Awesome. Okay, Blake. Well, so nice to talk to you. It was really insightful. I learned a lot, and I hope our viewers learned a lot. And I'm excited to see what's in store for on the NFT front from Pluto Digital Assets in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, stay tuned, and we have lots of exciting announcements.